We're rolling. Do you hear that, Brendan? Kevin's going, come on, come on, come on, hurry up, Jim, hurry up. You know what that's from? Working with Warren. Warren's not with us. This is a special episode, busting news. I guess this morning I read a press release that Brendan Bottcher is going to replace Brad Gushue as skip of the Newfoundland team. No, I'm making that up. Brad is going to play second for the Brad Gushue team. Brad, thanks for joining us, man. This is big news. Completely unpredictable. I loved what you last year when you stepped away. Jacobs came in and you said, "I'm laying back for a while, man. I'm not sure what I'm going to do." Talk about how it all came together, Brendan.
Yeah, well, I think, last spring it was important to me to, whatever I did moving forward, that I was doing it for the right reasons. And I felt like I needed a little bit of time to figure out what that was going to look like on the men's side, in all honesty. I got the opportunity to play doubles with Rachel, and that was a very easy yes. And then when she asked if I would, coach her women's team kind of in the interim for as long as I could, that was always the expectation. That was also a really easy yes. And those girls have just been incredible to me from that day all the way till now. And they were very supportive, and I think I finally, got the right offer. It made sense for me. I was excited to do it, not just to get back out there right away, but because I actually felt like it was truly the right thing for me. And that's where I found myself here in the last couple of days.
Well, was it a surprise to you that Brad called you? Had you put feelers out there? Can you give us a little backstory on how it all came together?
Well, I think it's always a surprise when, teams bust up, especially in the middle of a quad, in the middle of a season. Certainly, their teams had a pile of success. And if you just looked, on the order of ranking list, you wouldn't think that there was, a lot going on. So, in that sense, I was surprised, but I'm watching week in, week out, just like everyone else is. And I was in a good position. I was quite happy and content, and I had a season planned out for myself that I was excited and passionate about. And, if the right opportunity came along, I was certainly willing to look at it.
Wow. Well, I don't know. Yeah, congratulations, I guess. It's a very interesting. Well, I phoned you right away, of course, this morning to just congratulate you and say, wow, that is really good, I think. I don't even know where to start. I think maybe with throwing second stones, and you and I have known each other since you were, I guess, when you were about 13 and I was watching you throw at the Saville. I don't know. Have you ever thrown second? Ever?
I have not. No.
I didn't. I wasn't positive before I asked that, but I've been, you and I have been pretty close for a long time. I didn't think so. So what's that going to be like, I guess? What are you thinking?
Well, I think the game's just evolved so much. So I've really found in the last couple of years here, you need players at every position that pretty much have the full range of shots. There's no longer that your lead can only practice these ones and your second only has to practice those ones, and maybe your third and your skip need to have most of the shots. That's just not what it takes to win anymore. So I think I'm coming in with, able to make all the shots. I think that's what I bring from playing skip for a long time. And certainly out there to help the guys make as many around me as I can.
How about holding the broom? Who's sweeping? Who's doing all that?
So,
or do you know yet?
Yeah, so I'm going to be a traditional second. Nothing special from the normal second duties, which I actually think is important. So I think Brad and Mark have had so much success together, and I think part of that success is the dynamic they have in the house. And I'm certainly not interested to get in the middle of that. I think Mark, playing with Brad for a couple decades or however long he's done it, he's an exceptional caddy for Brad, and he knows what Brad needs to hear when he needs to be silent. And that's not something you can just step into the house and instantly replace.
One thing I thought of right away, like you've had a huge amount of pressure on you, especially in the last few years because of all external stuff, and of course just yourself always putting so much pressure on yourself. But now How do you feel about this? Because you're not at the helm. It's not your team. I guess positive. There's probably some positives and some negatives. But what's going through your mind as far as that goes? Because that's the first thing I thought of when I heard this news.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm excited. I'm excited for a new opportunity. I think this year's been a whole whack of new kind of firsts for me. And I'm doing a lot of learning as I'm going here, which I think is pretty cool. So even though I've been around a while, I've picked up certainly some tidbits playing doubles with Rachel, certainly some tidbits sitting on the bench for her women's team. And I know I'm going to pick up just a breadth of knowledge from the guys. And I'm excited for that. I think it's going to turn me into a more well-rounded curler once I'm done this process.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. Have you had a good talk with Jeff yet? Of course, like he's at the Savile almost every day, like you, and now you'll be able to practice together, especially when it comes to sweeping. To just bring somebody else out, be it Rachel or whoever on the ice. I'll do it. Throw some rocks and then you guys, be able to sweep and stuff. That's pretty good. Like, because an obvious question when you're teaming up with Brad and Mark from Newfoundland is the travel and how to practice together. But lo and behold, the other fellow on the team is just down the street from you.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that was one of the key reasons why I think it made sense for Team Gushue as well. So not only having Jeff Walker here in Edmonton, but our coach now is Jeff Hofford as well, who I'm very close with. Jeff is very close with. So we're going to have three of us out here, which is going to be a great practice environment. I really think we're going to move the needle a fair bit. And that's another thing. I see the international teams, they just get so many practice minutes together in a season. And I really think that's helped them move the yardsticks. So I'm a huge proponent of having at least a couple teammates, one teammate at a minimum around. You just can't replicate the same practice from 4 different curling clubs across the country. You just can't do it. There's always a little bit left on the table.
I don't even know if you know this, but when Jeff wasn't teaching or coaching or instructing any of that stuff yet, he was over managing the Derrick Golf and Country or Curling Club. I don't know how many years ago this is, but him and I would do the ice together, and then he would sit upstairs, and he was actually watching how we did practice. And then he'd come down if I was by myself and ask me why I was doing the practice in these ways. I don't know if he ever thought he'd be one of the top coaches in Canada or not, but that's going back a few years. But I don't know if you even know about that relationship with Mr. Hofford.
So I do know that's where he kind of got his start in curling. And I just can't say enough good things about Jeff. Him and I are really close off the ice as well. He's an awesome human. I think he brings a great energy just around him. And you spend so many days on the road with a team. That's important. That's not nothing, having that positive energy and kind of forward looking perspective on it. But spent some time at the Derrick. Certainly, you talked about the beginning, but between then and now, he's done some pretty cool things too. So he's been involved with the Bears and Pandas program in varsity curling. He's been involved team coaching, team sweeting for a handful of years. He was involved with many of our national teams as a consultant after that. So he's certainly earned a few stripes as well, and I think he's quite a valuable technical and tactical coach.
Yeah, technically he's really, really sound. Probably I'm going to let Jimmy jump back in here in a second. The most important question is, so Bobby had you at home for the last while, but now you're finally back on the road. So she doing what kind of a dance of joy? Is she?
I wasn't doing a bunch of calling around, but who knows? Maybe she was calling around to see where she could ship me off to next.
She phoned Gushue 47 times, and Brad's going, okay.
Brendan, I mean, teams break up. Teams, from every position, skips leave, skips come and go. They go to third, they'll skip another team. It happens all the time. This is on paper. When you look at it, some might say, well, this doesn't make sense, particularly because of how successful you were as a skip. You've been to the Brier, I think I was reading this morning, 8 times. You've been on the podium 7. You've won it. You've won lots of other events. You're one of the best skips in the world. I like what you said, you're not going to break up Nichols and Gushue, but you choose to go to a team to play second. With sweeping, the shot making is never going to be in doubt. If you were given the choice, Brendan, to go skip another team, we don't know if it's out there. I mean, if there are options that you had and you want to take us inside, that'd be great to know. But the option to go skip another team or do this, was it a consideration at the time? Were you looking for another team to skip? And then obviously this decision came way out of left field, and people might think this is the most humble decision ever that you could make.
No, that's fair. In one sentence, I'll give you a short answer. I just want to win. And I don't really care what that looks like. And I want to be a good teammate, regardless which team I'm a part of. And I'm excited to be out there with these guys. This really feels right to me. It hasn't been coincidence that I've been sitting on the sidelines for the last handful of months. I've been waiting for what was going to feel right, and this honestly does. I'm just excited to get started.
Well, this is a powerhouse, man. I mean, this. I don't know what Kevin thinks, but when I look at it, I'm not the barometer, but I'm going, these guys may be unstoppable. They may become unstoppable, Brendan. You're like, seriously.
Well, I think like any new team, there's going to be a little bit to get there. There's going to be some steps, a bit of a get to know you period, a bit figuring out, where all the wrinkles are that we need to iron out. But that's true of any new team that forms. I think we've really got a good perspective on what the big milestones are, where we want to peak in the next year, in the next year and a half. And I think a pretty good roadmap, how we're going to get from here to there.
You're still very young, so I think fairly young in the skipping role.
Everyone's young to you, Kev.
Everybody's young to me, but I still think you're fairly young in that regard. But I do think this could be really good, looking even into the future more, because Brad Gushue's getting into the end of his career, or near the end, and you're kind of in the middle-ish. Thoughts on being able to learn from a guy like this? Like last weekend at the Slam, Rob Falls asked me, "Hey, is there anybody that thinks the game better than Brad Gushue?" And my answer was absolutely not. There is nobody else that thinks the game better than Brad. So to be able to actually play with him for 2, 6, 4, whatever amount of years it is, thoughts on that? Because that's a kind of a cool opportunity that I'm not sure everybody thinks about.
Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity. I've pulled so much good knowledge from many of the teammates I've had over the years, and I think that's what rounds out someone. And at the end of their career, when you're able to point and say definitively, yes, no one thinks curling better than Brad Gushue. That's partly because of all the years he put in. It's partly because of all the teammates he surrounded himself with. He learned as he went. He had a pile of good coaches along the way. That all rolls up into that knowledge. And I think I just have an opportunity here to learn so much, and be an awesome part of the team. I really think I can add a bunch of value to them as well.
So will you spend any time out in Newfoundland? Is that kind of part of it? Well, you've got Hoffert in town, and Jeff just down the street.
A mix. So they're the guys out east are going to fly out, and we'll do some training camps out here before events that are out west, and then we'll do vice versa for the events out east, where the three of us will fly out and meet them for a couple days. I think it's no surprise, but their team definitely prioritizes practice, and structured practice and meaningful practice, and I actually love that. That's the world I came from, and I'm very comfortable in that environment. So I'm looking forward to that. I think we'll move the needle a pile in those practice settings, and then we'll go from there.
Brad, I guess
Brad or Brendan?
Or sorry, Brad.
Well, you're not moving that quick up to skip position.
Brendan, EJ Hardin, leaving the team, you joining. What came first? We'd like to know a little politics here about this. Did EJ decide to leave, or did you guys all have a three-way conversation when Brad was looking at bringing you on the team?
Oh no, certainly no, certainly no conversation before, but before the decision was made with EJ. I think that was important to them too. I think their team is also very deliberate in how they go about making decisions. They're certainly not a off the cuff decision making group. So they spent some time. My guess is they had some pretty good team chats to get to where they got to. And then, Brad reached out after that. But, Brad's a guy, I've known these guys for a long time. I played against them for a lot of years, but you play in enough events, you see each other in enough locker rooms, at enough restaurants, you get to know each other. So, I've been talking with Brad for years, and I've admired him, and he's certainly held me back of a few of those medals at some big events along the way. So no, it's just great. I think it's just a cool opportunity to circle around to that.
So when's your first event? Like, because you're not doing the Sioux with them this week. So when will you join the crew?
This weekend I'm playing mixed doubles with Rachel, and I was very open with Brad that was a commitment that I was unwilling to move, and he was quite flexible with that. So yes, the guys are going to play Sioux this weekend. I believe with Adam Casey is going to come in and play with them, and then they're going to fly in a little bit early for the Pan Continental. We'll have a couple good days of practice, and then the Pan Continental will be my first event with the team.
Right, and then off to Nisku.
Correct. Yeah, and then straight to the Nisku Slam.
I don't know how you possibly made a decision saying, okay, do I really want to curl with the two best curlers in the world? Rachel Homan and Brad, arguably, would be the best curler in the world. Not a tough decision, Brendan. Not a tough decision.
Not a super easy decision either. I'm also not a fly off the cuff, make decisions just because someone asked me type person. It was really important for me to understand why I wanted to do this. And it certainly needed to be positive, it needed to be forward looking, and I needed to be excited. And Brad and the guys gave me lots of time. There were a handful of conversations that happened for us both sides to get comfortable with this. And I think we landed at a spot where it got to an easy yes. But we put in some work to make sure it was going to be a good fit.
And I'm tongue in cheek a little bit. I'm sure Rachel and Gushue are more than happy to have you curling with them. That's fantastic. Well, like I said, what a powerhouse! This is huge news in the curling world to have you back playing, and it's going to be, people are going to be watching this with more than bated breath, man. And you may have changed my selection. I've been going with the McEwen team, okay, through thick and thin. I'm sorry, Mike, you're out. I'm back. I'm back. I'm going with Bottcher, okay, and his team. Congratulations, Brendan. This is fantastic news, and it's going to be sensational to have you out there and watching it. It's going to change the viewership of curling, because this is very unique that a highly successful skip is not going to third but going to second. So super cool. Super cool, Brendan. Way to go, man.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's an awesome opportunity, and you'll see me out there soon.
Hey, thanks a lot, Brendan. Really appreciate taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah. See ya.